Which quarterback has the strongest arm in the NFL? And who is the most accurate? What's going on, football fans? It's Mitch here, back with another BLV NFL reaction video. And in this video, I react to ESPN Danny O's top 10 quarterbacks according to trait. The strongest arms, the best ball placement, the best decision makers, the best in the pocket, and more. Dan Orlovsky has released his 10 best quarterbacks in all the traits that make up a quarterback in the modern game. This is an extremely interesting topic because not only is it from a former quarterback, but it's from a guy on ESPN who usually just gets away from being positive with each and every quarterback he discusses. So now Danny O actually has to be critical and actually has to rank every single quarterback in these categories, which I also find extremely fascinating and fun. So without further ado, let's break down the top 10 quarterbacks in arm strength, rushing ability, and more. Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more NFL reactions just like this here on the Bottom Line View. And comment, of course, what do you think? Do you agree or do you disagree with Danny O's top 10s? Let's go with Danny O. Beginning with arm strength, the top 10 quarterbacks with the strongest arms in the NFL. Now, first, Josh Allen has the strongest arm in the NFL. I don't think that's even debatable. I am actually shocked that Patrick Mahomes is ranked first. I think Josh Allen has the strongest arm I've ever seen. Honestly. And I really have believed that since day one when I watched his tape in college. I thought it was the strongest arm I've ever seen. Patrick Mahomes has an extremely strong arm. Don't get me wrong. But I think Allen more consistently throws the ball with pace, more consistently throws the ball with power, and I think he can launch the ball further. I think it's more effortless. Both quarterbacks have great arms, all-time arms. But I think really what Mahomes is special with is more so the manipulation of the football and or the arm angles, more so than the arm strength. That's just my opinion. I think Allen's arm strength, the ability to just fire the football, is all-time special. So I would have Allen first, Mahomes maybe second, right? Herbert third, I think is fair. I'm not really going to debate that. He's certainly in the top 5. Stafford at 4, I think is also very fair. Stafford has always had an extremely strong arm. I don't think it's as strong as it used to be. It's still very strong, but I do think his Detroit days, especially his early Detroit days, the dude had an absolute rocket cannon launcher. I mean, it was ridiculous. Now, I think he doesn't throw the ball as hard as he used to, as consistently as he used to. I think he used to throw the ball sometimes too hard, but he could throw the ball deep, like with effortless ability on the move, in the pocket, wherever. Will Levis is the guy that I think he could be top 5. I mean, that guy has an absolute cannon for an arm. It is crazy how much power and distance that guy can get on the football. Now, Aaron Rodgers, I feel like slightly, probably you can rank a little bit lower. He used to have an amazing arm. There's no doubt about it. In his prime, at his peak, Rodgers had an all-time special arm. You know, on platform, off platform, wherever, in pocket, out pocket, doesn't matter. But Will Levis right now, I think, probably has a stronger arm than Aaron Rodgers. Even just watching the training camp clips. I think so. Baker Mayfield has a very strong arm. I'm glad that he gave Baker a shout on this list. I definitely think Baker has one of the most underrated arms in the NFL. Anthony Richardson, I guess by pure velocity, definitely has one of the strongest arms in football. The problem with Richardson is more so the accuracy end of it. Although that's not really part of this discussion. I would just say that Richardson's ball comes out a little bit more funky than the rest of this list, even in comparison to somebody like Will Levis, I feel like. Lamar Jackson does have a low-key, very strong arm. I don't think Dak Prescott has a top 10 arm. in the NFL. I don't. I honestly think that Caleb and Drake May have stronger arms than Dak Prescott. I think going through the divisions, if I'm just thinking through it, I think Jared Goff has a comparable arm to Dak Prescott. I think that, who else? Probably stronger. Kyler, maybe, has a stronger arm than Dak Prescott. And these are just off the top of my head. I'm probably missing more than a few. But I feel like Trevor Lawrence, maybe, right? Like Dak does not feel like top 10 arm strength. Lamar, I could definitely see it. I think Lamar definitely has a strong arm. And I don't think he gets credit for it. But this top 10 is not bad. I think Josh Allen should be higher at 1 for sure. I think Mahomes probably 2. Herbert's good. Stafford's good. Rest of the list, I think Dak should be off the list. Regardless, though, I think he got most of them right. I won't debate that. Read the article too, guys, if you want to. Go check it out so you can really see what he has to say here. I'm not going to sit here and read this whole thing. Ball placement, top 10. Joe Burrow at number 1 of the Bengals. I think, consistently over the last 3 or 4 years, I think that's accurate. Joe Burrow is accurate. His ball placement is very good. Now, the way that I would think of ball placement is I would think of the capacity to throw an accurate football with good pace on all the different levels of throws and all the different types of throws. I would also think of the decision-making intertwining with that and understanding where to throw the ball, left, right, high, low, depending on where the defender is, where you are on the field, if you're in the red zone, like 3rd and 8 in the middle of the field in comparison to a 1st and 10 to get yak, things like that. I think there's a lot of different ways you can throw the football. So I think ball placement is crucial, obviously. I think Joe Burrow, argument for number 1. The guy that I think is way too low is CJ Stroud. If anything, I think Stroud might be first. I think Stroud and Burrow are the two that are first or second. That would be my preference for that. Burrow and Stroud first and second. I think definitively, like clearly, if you guys watch both these players play, I think they have the cleanest mechanics. I think they have some of the cleanest releases. I think the ball comes out very consistently with both players. I think that Stroud, what wows me about him, is his ability to maneuver the pocket and then throw the ball in the place that he wants to every time. And it's clearly, when you watch him, the place that he wants to go with the ball. I think Joe Burrow, it's more so like a touch thing with Joe Burrow, where he's very good at making all the different throws in the exact spot where he wants it to go. While I feel like Stroud is better at making the outrageous throw, if that makes sense, and like the better decision with the ball in the placement of the ball. So I feel like they're very similar. Tua, I would put third, honestly. I think Tua does have very good ball placement. I think that is by far the strength of his game. So I would probably have Tua third, maybe fourth. I think Mahomes is probably in the top 5, although I think 3 is probably too high for him. I think Mahomes, first of all, I think a lot of his receivers are open by a lot. It might be a hot take, but I think he's often throwing to a lot of open players. And I think a lot of the times with Mahomes, he doesn't force the ball into tight windows. Oftentimes he's doing the work himself from a functional pocket perspective and a movement perspective and an eyes perspective to where he doesn't have to throw the ball in a perfect location. I would say he's probably like 4 or 3, 4 or 5. 4, yeah. Stafford is interesting because I think he's a little bit less consistent than, let's say, a Tua, but I think his ability to throw the ball with power and accuracy is at a much higher level than Tua. Right? So like Tua Tua's one of the best touch passers, one of the most accurate passers, but he doesn't have a lot of power on his ball. So if he has to throw it and drive the ball, it's not as good as somebody like Stafford. Stafford's probably like the best at driving the ball on target when he needs it in the clutch in a money play. So maybe for that reason, I would probably go Stroud, Burrow, Stafford. Stroud, Burrow, Stafford, Mahomes, Tua. They're all in the top 5. That's fair. The top 5 is right. I just don't agree with the order. Number 6, Brock Purdy, I disagree with. I don't think Brock Purdy's that high on this list. I think Brock Purdy actually, there's times where he makes really nice throws and he's really accurate. But I honestly think a lot of his throws are open, kind of like Tua and Mahomes. But at the same time, I feel like his placement at times is off. His receivers do bail him out a little bit. So I wouldn't have Purdy that high. I think Dak has very good ball placement for like 90% of his throws. So maybe Dak should be a little bit higher. Geno is interesting at number 7. Jared Goff at number 9. I think Jared Goff is really good when it comes to the middle of the field throws. I'm kind of shocked he doesn't have Justin Herbert on this list, to be honest with you. I'd have Herbert on this list. Purdy being on the list is kind of puzzling at number 6. Maybe at like number 9 or 10. Geno, I don't know, man. I don't know how Herbert's not on this list. That's one that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. How is Herbert not on this list? Ball placement. Feels like he puts the ball perfectly all over the field. He can make any throw with great mechanics, on the money, pretty darn consistently. And Aaron Rodgers not being on this list either is very interesting. I'm going to read this one a little bit because this one, Aaron Rodgers not on the list? There's a difference between accuracy and ball placement. Accuracy is the ability to throw the ball to your guy, while placement is keeping it away from the defender. An accurate quarterback, okay. Well, then Stroud should be first, in my opinion. Burrow should be second. Tua should be third. But why is Rodgers not on the list? Why is Herbert not on the list? Those are the two that just scream at me for not being on the list. Allen at 10, I definitely think he should be on the... So, like, I'd probably not have Purdy on the list. I'd probably not have Geno on the list. And I'd put in the two guys that I said. So, yeah, ball placement's kind of tricky because it is very similar to accuracy. I think they're very similar. Mechanics. Joe Burrow at 1. So just by the sounds of this list, bro, I think you think Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the league, but you'll never say it. Joe Burrow at number 1, Matthew Stafford at number 2. Interesting. Number 3, Justin Herbert. Number 4, CJ Stroud. Number 5, Dak Prescott. Number 6, Jared Goff. Number 7, Tua. Number 8, Aaron Rodgers. Number 9, Brock Purdy. Number 10, Trevor Lawrence. I think Stroud, again, should be higher. I think Stroud's mechanics, and maybe people need another 7. Another 7? I guess Stroud wears number 7. Another season to see it. But Stroud and Burrow have almost identical mechanics. That's something that immediately popped out on CJ Stroud's tape. I think CJ Stroud might have the best mechanics in the NFL. He throws the ball most similarly to Tom Brady, in my opinion. Just the flawless nature of mechanics. Stepping into the throw. The way that he always finishes his throws. That's why his accuracy is so consistent. His release is fast. I think Burrow and Stroud have the best mechanics in the league. I think Herbert is probably third. Herbert, to me, is just a little too robotic, which is kind of my problem with him. Number 4, Stafford, I guess, is fair. Dak has good mechanics. Dak is a little bit with his feet. He gets a little bit too wide, in my opinion, at times, and that I think results for him to throw the ball low. His platform becomes a little too wide sometimes. I would say that Rodgers, I know that Rodgers doesn't have by the book mechanics, but Rodgers' mechanics, I mean, there's a reason a lot of people replicate them. So I feel like his release and the torque that he gets on the ball is definitely upper echelon. I would put Rodgers above Goff. I would put Rodgers above Tua. I think that Dak is somewhere, I think Dak's a little lower. So my top 5 would be Burrow, Stroud, Burrow, Herbert, Stafford, Rodgers, Dak, Goff is fine. Is there anyone missing? Mahomes? Mahomes doesn't have great mechanics, to be fair. That's probably fair. Allen, I think Allen's mechanics are very underrated. Same as Lamar, very underrated. I don't know if they're in the top 10, though. That's fine. I think Geno, low-key, has pretty good mechanics, which he actually says in the article here. I think that Hurts has worked on them, but I don't think they're in the top 10. Jordan Love is basically Aaron Rodgers, so if you don't, it depends on your preference. I think mechanics are also preference-driven. I don't think there is a proper way. Like, the way that I would judge it is, how did Tom Brady throw the ball? That's how I would judge it, and then probably try to match that up with everybody else. But, yeah, so Purdy on the list, that's fair, I guess. Is anyone missing? Caleb has really good mechanics. J.J. McCarthy has really good mechanics, I think. AFC, not Russ. I think he's mostly pretty accurate. AFC South, I think he's got everybody, to be fair. So yeah, I would just maybe change the list a little bit there. Stroud's underrated, bro. Still underrated Stroud. And Rodgers at 8 just feels weird. Decision-making with the football. He's got Rodgers at 1. Stafford at 2. Burrow at 3. Stroud at 4. Purdy at 5. Love at 6. 7. Patrick Mahomes. 8. Dak Prescott. 9. Jared Goff. 10. Kirk Cousins. I strongly disagree with this list. I don't understand how you can have Aaron Rodgers first and Stafford second. It's almost like a yin and a yang. That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't add up. The best decision maker in the league, in my opinion, is Patrick Mahomes. And the way that I calculate decision making, and the reason I think Rodgers is first, because he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. I think that's the reason he's first. But decision making with the football, see, the way I think of this is, do you maximize every play? And do you avoid mistakes? And I think Mahomes avoids enough mistakes. He makes some mistakes. He has more turnovers than Rodgers. But the difference is, Mahomes makes more plays with the ball than Rodgers does. Down the field, scrambling with the ball, understands when to throw it away, but also understands on a big play when he needs to try to thread the needle. So I think Mahomes is a much better decision maker than given credit for here. I think he should be 1. Number 2, I think Burrow is in the discussion for number 2. Rodgers can be in the top 5. Purdy, I think, is a little erratic still. I would not have him in the top 5. He's good, but I think he avoids a lot of mistakes because the offense is so good. And he's good with his legs to avoid mistakes. I will say that. Jalen Hurts, if you're going to talk about not throwing interceptions, I think that's fair. Now, I will say, if you're talking about reading the field, making the right read most consistently, right, like reads, he says in here, that's fair, right? Stafford is good with reads. I wouldn't say that, but Stafford forces the ball too much, in my opinion. And he tries to throw the ball down the field too much. And that's kind of that thing with Allen. That's why Allen's not on the list. I think Allen, in terms of when you need a big play, Allen's really good at winning the game. That's what I would say about Allen. He does make too many mistakes with the ball, throwing interceptions, but that's almost a trait of having to do what he has to do for the Bills to win the game. So it's kind of like it comes with the territory. Jordan Love's a weird one at number 6. Who is he missing on this list? So I think Jalen Hurts has a debate. Now, when you're talking about reads, I think that's where Jalen Hurts gets eliminated because he's not a great reader of the field. When it comes to the NFC North, I think Goff and Love, those are probably the only ones you would really include. NFC South, Derek Carr's too conservative. He's poor in the red zone. Baker Baker's good at going through reads. I think he makes too many mistakes sometimes. Geno sometimes doesn't see the whole. He forces it to like his first read too much or like the one downfield target too much to me. Kyler doesn't read the whole field a lot of the time. Yeah, I think this top 10 is fairly accurate. I think Mahomes is first. I think Stroud or Burrow are second. I'm trying to judge like aggression with also the ability to avoid mistakes, but get the most out of the offense. So I'd say Mahomes, Burrow, Stroud, Stafford, Rodgers, Purdy. And then from there, I mean, you're probably looking at Goff, Cousins, Dak, Love territory. I think that's fair. Pocket presence. Mahomes at 1 is weird because I actually disagree with this. So I was much higher on Mahomes in decision making, and I think decision making would also fall into sacks. That's just me, right? But I would say, like, pocket presence, Mahomes runs into pressure too much for him to be number 1. Like, Mahomes will, like, leave a clean pocket to run into a pass rusher. He does that all the time. He did that in the preseason game I just watched against Jacksonville. He does that way too much for me. So I would have Mahomes much lower just because of that. Now, he is very good at being creative and finding lanes to run around and create time. He's phenomenal at that. But I think he runs into pressure too much. He creates his own hurries, his own pressure. That's why he's always at the top of the league in hurries and things like that. Burrow, I agree. Stroud, I agree. Stafford, I agree. Lamar is more so like he needs to learn how to like stay there and get hit and throw the ball. He tries to run too much when he is pressured. He's good at navigating the pocket and manipulating it. I think Allen should be much higher on this list, by the way. Allen is phenomenal in the pocket. I would put Allen above Lamar for sure. I think Burrow, Stroud, Stafford is the top 3. I would have Allen and Mahomes probably 4 or 5. Then 6 would probably be Dak. 7 would be... See, Purdy's probably like top 7. I like Purdy's pocket presence because he's tough. He'll take a hit. He knows how to step up in the pocket and make a throw, but he's also good at getting away from pressure too. So Purdy's fair. Love is very good just in terms of making off-platform awkward throws. I don't know if that necessarily is a pocket presence thing, though. But he is very good with that. Geno, I think that's fine. Trevor Lawrence is also one that I think has pretty good pocket presence, in my opinion. Rushing ability, Lamar, Allen, Anthony Richardson, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence. It's a weird list. Now, Lamar is first for me because Lamar is the best with not only scrambling and creating, but also he's very good as a designed runner. I think Allen at 2 is actually accurate. Allen is a great designed runner in power situations. 15 touchdowns speaks for itself. But also he's an incredible scrambler, and he breaks your back in that regard. Richardson, Hurts, Kyler, Fields is the next tier for me. So I would say Hurts would be... Fields. Fields would be 3 for me. Hurts would be 4. Richardson would be... Kyler or Richardson? I need to see Richardson more, to be fair. So I would put Richardson at 6. Then I would have... Okay, so he's got Mahomes, Burrow, Lawrence. Who is he missing? He's missing Jaden Daniels. Burrow is a low-key pretty good scrambler. Who else is there? Drake May. Watch out for Drake May running. I'm just saying. Watch out for Drake May running. Russell Wilson is not on this list. Who else? Yeah, I have a problem with the top of the list Kyler should definitely be higher. Lawrence, I don't agree with. He's too clunky. Prescott, he doesn't run enough anymore. Caleb should be on the list. Daniel should be on the list. Daniel Jones could be on the list, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's not a good list. And then second reaction ability is the last one, I believe. Mahomes first is accurate. Allen second is accurate. So the Mahomes is more so with creativity and arm angles. Allen is more so with just pure athletic ability, arm strength, running power, ability to break sacks, break tackles, things like that. Lamar at 3. Hot take might be Caleb at 3, to be honest. But Lamar at 3 is fair for now. Caleb, Purdy at 4 is crazy. Purdy at 4 is crazy. Purdy is on the list for sure, but 4? Wow. Wow. Love is too high. Dak is really good. When he is a second reaction player, he is good at it. I will say that. Caleb should be higher. Purdy is too high. Love is a little too high. Hurts, definitely not. Remove him from the damn list. Minshew? That's interesting. Herbert at 10. Herbert should be... Herbert, is, when he decides to be a second reaction player, he's a very good second reaction player. Who's he missing? Well, Drake May would be on my list, probably. If you don't have rookies on the list, then remove Drake May. But who else you got? Rodgers probably can't move anymore, so that's the problem. Tua, definitely not. Who else? AFC North. Not Fields, not Russ. Maybe Russ. Probably not, though. Maybe Russ. Still maybe Russ. Russ is a maybe. Who else? He's got Lamar. Deshaun, AFC South. Will Levis, nah. Richardson, no. Lawrence, no. Too clunky. AFC West, not Bo Nix, probably not. Jaden Daniels, definitely not. Daniel Jones, definitely not. Hurts, no way, bro. Like, Hurts is no way. Like, anyone watch Jalen Hurts as second reaction? He just runs or he throws the ball away. Really? Really? NFC North? Goff, definitely not. Cousins, definitely not in the NFC South. Carr, sometimes. This depends what car you get. Baker, not Gino. So I guess I'm eliminating. Kyler should definitely be. That's the one you're missing. Kyler absolutely should be on that list. Without question. Without question, Kyler should be on the list. So, that's my take. What do you guys think of Danny O's lists, man? The best quarterbacks according to trait. Gronk, spike the like button if you enjoyed this discussion, and subscribe for more NFL on the Bottom Line View. Peace.